Hello,
Hi.
and welcome to Mandatory Redistribution Party podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Jack Evans.
Hi.
I am Sean Morley, and we welcome you to our comedy and radical left-wing politics podcast.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah. Welcome.
Me and Jack are two comedians who live in the north of England, who perform comedy and secretly are het up about the state of the country and the world.
What's het up mean?
Het up, it means like you got a lot of energy. It's like you're honking mad, to use another phrase.
What, like an aggravated goose?
You've gone into a Hulk blitz.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hulk goose.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm angry or that I'm violent. I'm honking mad.
I'm honking.
Like the worst you're going to get is a few honks.
Yeah, I want to honk it.
And I guess the form our honks have taken is this podcast here.
Why don't we call it honk?
That's because
Better
the branding is already solidified.
Oh shit, we've got logos and stuff. We've recorded episodes already. This isn't the first one we're recording. We've been dead
I
organised.
think honk as well gives off a very different energy.
Honk.
I got some appreciation for it. Last minute rebrand to honk.
Honk. And then we can have like a really cool goose as the symbol.
Well, if you really want to splinter so early and make honk, I might stay aboard the mandatory.
Honk's just the alternative name for mandatory redistribution party.
Honk can maybe be like the subscribers only behind the curtain podcast.
Yeah. Tweet us with honk.
Yeah. Tweet us a honk. So what have we got coming up? What have we made?
What is this first? They don't know what it is. Have we done radical politics?
Yeah.
Comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that explains it then, doesn't it? All right, okay.
And I'm going to elaborate on that with what's coming up.
Okay. Yeah, go on.
So, upcoming, we've got plenty of conversations between me and Jack. We are the bread and butter that keeps the filling inside. We have interviews. We've so far either reached out to or actually met up and discussed stuff with authors, journalists, activists, politicians, historians, academics, all really looking at radical ideas of how the world could be different than it is now. Me and Jack are both of the mind and also keen on talking to people who share the belief that the world is not going to be fixed through incremental changes towards a slightly better system. Capitalism and the way we organize our politics now and the hegemony of our current ideology, it can't be incrementally improved in a way that's going to be meaningful. It just needs to be replaced. There needs to be an overhaul. The system whereby capital controls who gets to live a long life and who gets to die in poverty, you cannot pass a few additional laws and improve that. There's something fundamentally wrong. And so the changes we're looking for need to be big.
What Sean's saying is, we honking.
We're honking. Are you honking?
Are you honking, baby?
And yet again, honk, which sounded so innocent. Jack's managed to bring a really troublesome energy to that.
You're inferring that into
noxious mood.
Honking.
Honking to me is a goose noise,
or
it means something stinks. But now you're making me feel like
You don't want to honk?
Huh?
You don't want to honk?
When you talk about honking, it sounds like a white van man trying to harass a woman.
What? This is because I'm so ginger that I'm at maximal white levels below like a disease.
I think it's just the raw enthusiasm. I suspect something's deeply wrong.
I'm enthusiastic about our podcast.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
It's the honk.
You don't like the honk?
Moratorium.
We honking, baby.
Moratorium on honking.
You started the honking.
Yeah, and I'm finishing it.
What? Are you honking, baby? What? You don't want to honk? Are you honking, baby? Ah! You don't want to honk? What is capitalism? Is it typing internet comments without ever releasing the shift key to unlock the power of shouting in the written word?
No.
Is it learning all the capital cities like someone's dad in an alehouse quiz?
No.
Capitalism is an economic system. It is probably the economic system you live in.
I know I do.
How do you know you are living under capitalism? What are the warning signs? Is it class conflict? Is it cheeseburgers? Is it feeling sad all the time, even when you are happy?
No.
You don't need capitalism for any of those things. Like a terrible pancake, capitalism is comprised of 3 ingredients: private ownership, wage labour, and profit. First into the mixing bowl is
Private ownership.
under capitalism, the means of production are owned privately. The
Means of production.
factories, offices, roller coasters means the places and stuff you need to produce more stuff. That's one kind of capital. Capital, that sounds familiar. Maybe that's why it's called. Private ownership means individuals or groups of individuals control the means of production. We, the workers, can only use the means of production if they, the capitalists, allow us. If you're a capitalist and you're listening to this podcast, please stop. Actually, no. Please continue. Please subscribe. Please leave a review and recommend us to a friend. Please send me £1 million so I can buy Sean a boat. It's the least you can do. Capitalists will only let us work for them if they get more out of it than us. In exchange, they'll pay us a wage. Say you get paid £9 an hour. The capitalist only pays you this and only hires you in the first place if the work you do makes them more than £9 an hour. This is the second ingredient of capitalism.
Wage labour.
Get your whisk, because here comes the third ingredient.
Profit.
The goal of production under capitalism is to make more money, to generate more
Capital.
for the...
Capitalists.
Oh, I get it now. The capitalist pays you your £9 an hour for a full day's work. You might get £72. But you don't stop working when you've made that £72 worth of stuff.
Oh no, you keep working.
Imagine if you heard that sound at the exact point you'd done 72 quid's worth of work. Would you carry on? Everything you do after this point is surplus value. Your work is paying for the rent or the mortgage for whatever building you're in. Your work is paying the wage of whatever middle management person's monitoring what you're doing. And the bit the capitalist's most interested in, the
Profit.
That's where that comes from. Take these 3 ingredients together. We can say capitalism is a system of
Private ownership.
and
Wage labour.
driven by
Profit.
If you'd like to know more about capitalism, you can check out the Big Book of Capitalism, also known as Capital by Big Daddy K, also known as Special K, also known as Karl Marx, also known as The Big Boy. Or just read the summary by Italian anarchist Carlo Caffiero.
Marx liked it, so it is canon.
Hey, let's go deeper. Let's talk about commodities.
Commodities.
In Big Daddy Carl's Big Book of Capitalism, he starts by talking about
Commodities.
not class, not inequality.
Commodities.
That's probably because commodities embody all 3 elements of capitalism: private ownership, wage labour, and profit. The commodity is like a vertical slice of a delicious but bad for you cake of capitalism. All the other stuff you might hate about capitalism, class division, cheeseburgers, and feeling sad, stem from capitalist production. I actually love cheese feeling sad. Under capitalism, we don't work to provide services and products for ourselves or others. We do so for the market. Make something for yourself, that's not a commodity. Sculpt a life-size Waluigi out of chewing gum in your flat for your own enjoyment. Even share that sticky Waluigi with your friends. That's not a commodity. That's just a chewing gum sculpture of Waluigi.
Please don't do this.
Take the exact same Waluigi sculpture, sell it to a 36-year-old man called Ian under a motorway bridge.
Finally, someone to love.
That very same Waluigi becomes a
Commodity.
Under capitalism, businesses make particular products, not for their own use, they make them for market. Facebook doesn't want your details just so they can learn about you. They want to sell those details to advertisers. Capitalism, then, can even turn your personal info into a commodity. Thanks to Facebook, a company now knows you are a 24-year-old lab technician, an uncle who likes pineapple pizza and will try to sell you a hoodie that says so. The fact you are single has been sold to the company that wants you to know there are
Hot singles in your area.
commodities are useful to someone. Like someone wants it for some reason. I want a Nintendo Switch so I can play Zelda in the bathroom instead of scrolling through increasingly horrific news stories. Your Tory dad wants an Amazon Prime subscription to watch Grand Tour because the misadventures of
The lads.
briefly help him imagine a life of automotive adventure and
Racism.
without consequence.
Spanzer.
That is not why the Nintendo Switch or the Grand Tour are made. That's not their value under capitalism. Their value is what they can be sold for, how it can generate
Profit.
When Marx wrote about commodities, most other writing on economics saw the commodity as a physical thing. And Marx defo does think physical objects can be commodities,
Check out how much he writes about cloth.
but for Marx, a commodity doesn't have to be a physical object. One important example of a commodity that is not an object is work.
Work.
Under capitalism, our ability to work becomes a commodity. We sell our labour power, an employer buys it. They rent our bodies and minds and use our labour power up to make other commodities more valuable. How about a care worker? The commodity that he produces is consumed as he produces it. There's no physical object at the end, a careoid. The care is produced continually and used up. What about a chef? A chef sells her labour power to whoever owns the restaurant, mixing it with the ingredients to produce the commodity of, for example, a succulent Chinese meal. Capitalism is always looking for new stuff to turn into commodities. A beautiful beach can be enclosed with fences and rented out. The revolutionary Che Guevara's face can be used to sell t-shirts. Politicians turn their policies into a commodity when outsourcing it to think tanks and PR consultancies. The trees of ancient rainforests become potential furniture. Carbon trading commodifies the very air we breathe. Breathe it while you can, baby. Let's talk about
Wage labour.
There's two ways you can make money under capitalism. One is by working for a wage, the other is by owning the means of production. The vast majority of us don't own the means of production, and so, under this system, the only way to survive is to sell our time, rent our body and mind in exchange for a wage. This divides society into two classes.
Paladin and necromancer.
If your only way to make money is by working, you're in the working class. If you make money by owning the means of production, you're in the capitalist class. Obviously, there's a bunch of cultural ways to break this down further. Like, a big shot lawyer's life isn't exactly like the person who cleans their converted windmill. Also, because wage labour is a defining feature of work under capitalism, that doesn't mean all labour gets a wage. Capitalism depends on tons of unpaid work, especially work that's historically and traditionally been done by women, housework, childcare, or even actually having children.
Look, my love, it's a worker.
Private companies benefit from this labour without having to ever pay for it. We have to remember the cultural and gendered aspects of class, but the division between those who have to sell their labour and those who do not is fundamental to understanding capitalism. So let's talk about capitalists.
Capitalists.
When socialists talk about private ownership, private property, they're not talking about your toothbrush or your PS4. They can't be used to produce commodities for profit. Private ownership refers to the means of production, refers to the places and stuff you need to produce more stuff. When you privately own the means of production, such as a factory, that's a type of capital. But when you have a worker in that factory, it can be used to create even more capital. Private ownership means individuals like Richard Branson or Dr. Robotnik, or groups of individuals, like shareholders, control the means of production. We, the workers, can only use the means of production if they let us, and they'll only do so if we offer value to them. Capitalists, through their control of the means of production, can use money to make more money. They can hire more workers, they can pay for advertising, they can hire lobbyists to convince politicians to lower the minimum wage, or cut their taxes, or cut welfare to discipline the workforce, all with the hope of making more profit. For capitalists, money makes money. When money does that, it becomes capital. So where'd capitalism come from? Isn't it natural, like a yogurt? Hasn't it always been here, like a yogurt?
No.
Capitalism is not natural, or permanent, or yogurt. Don't put capitalism on your muesli. Slaves in ancient Athens weren't living under capitalism. Peasants in medieval France weren't living under capitalism. But just like many of the people living under slave societies or feudalism, capitalism is seen by those who live in it as inevitable, the only way things could ever be.
It's not.
Capitalism, a system of private ownership and wage labour driven by profit, began in the Middle Ages in Europe. Peasants used to have access to common land. On this land, they could produce for themselves. The peasants didn't get to keep everything they produced. Look, the Lord's going to take a big cut.
Give me those potatoes, boy.
They didn't have to hire themselves out to capitalists. Capitalism can only function when this land is taken away. So they did that, and that's what happened. When the people found themselves without any resources to produce things except their own labour, to survive, they have to sell their labour to capitalists who own all the other resources. And that only started in the Middle Ages in Europe. That spread of private property is just one reason for the anarchist slogan.
Property is theft.
A very cool book about this whole process, especially its impact on women, is Federici's Caliban and the Witch. You can find it. The Europeans didn't want to keep this system to themselves. They wanted to accumulate more stuff and make more money. So they spread capitalism around the world through state-backed corporations like the East India Company, who had their own army and navy. As it spread, capitalism was resisted, and that resistance was crushed with violence, either directly perpetrated by or legitimised by the state. The state is kind of the fourth ingredient here, a fourth bonus ingredient, or the plate that the pancake of capitalism's on. By the state, I mean something very specific, the group that's monopolised the legitimate use of violence. When you punch someone, it's violence. When the police do it, it's force. When you kill someone, it's murder. When a soldier does it, it's just war. That's because the state has a monopoly of legitimate violence. The capitalist monopoly of the means of production is upheld by the state's monopoly of violence. You try and seize control of your workplace. Your biggest opponent will be the police. You spend an 8-hour shift making something. Take what you made home, the police will come around your house and hit you with sticks so you have to give it back. You try and not pay rent, see who comes round. Capitalists love to talk about rolling back the state, but often what they mean is rolling the state out of the way of capital, cutting taxes, cutting regulations on business, snatching things like water and trains and council houses from the state into the hands of capitalists. But the state isn't rolled back for workers. When these types of policies are pursued, the weight of the boot on the neck of the worker just gets heavier. Union laws are tightened, privatisation means water bills and train tickets and your mortgage, your rent, just feed the capitalist class and make them more powerful. Let's take everything together and sum it up. Capitalism is a system of private ownership and wage labour driven by profit and outside the fever dreams of market fundamentalists, enforced by the laws and violence of the state. And I think capitalism's bad.
Hi, mate.
Hiya, pal. Are you busy at the moment?
No.
Okay, so I'm going through episode 1 and trying to stick the bits together.
On the poddy.
Yeah, poddy, Mando's. So you know how we, like, the best cut we got was of the honking stuff, where we talked a lot about honking.
That was the best one.
That was the best one. Yeah, we're not including the one we talked for a long time about a blood pipette, because that ran to 15 minutes. So okay. So our best one of the 5 attempts at an intro recording that we did ends up revolving a lot around the honking, and there's this bit in it where I say, because you're honking very enthusiastically, and you say, "Are you honking, baby?" I accuse you of sounding a lot like a white van man harassing a woman. And I think you laughed at the time. Well, this is what I'm saying. It can't be cut out. It's too embedded, and you're laughing around it. And I feel like it's got some bad energy.
I'm confident that is not. I would have meant honking as in a goose. Like, I'm imagining an angry goose. When you were saying honking, I was imagining geese like surrounding the trespassing famous five and just honking.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify now as well. I never thought you meant honking in any other kind of...
No, I understand. So your concern is not that I was doing that. It's that you have come across as bad towards me by contextualizing my honk in that manner.
Oh, no. Well, actually, no, you've misunderstood again. I don't really think that people are going to think I've called you out or that Jack Evans needs to be cancelled for honking. It's that by bringing up the idea of gendered harassment as a joke at all, while we're two men running a podcast ostensibly about liberatory politics, I think it casts a real bad energy, while at the very same time making a classist assumption about white van men being more likely to harass women. It's
a double whammy.
It was a real double header, yeah, dual wield.
Okay, but you're not. That's fine. You're not like that. That's fine. People won't read that. That would be...
You can't say you're not like... I know in my head that I'm virtuous, but then how do I account for the times when I make mistakes and expect other people not to have a previous awareness that I'm actually okay? And you can't use "I'm actually okay" as a defense of anything. It's an absolute meaningless statement. Well, if they knew that you're actually okay anyway. This is episode 1 of a creative project.
Oh, fuck's sake.
We can't be saying, oh, he's actually okay.
No, it's fine. No one's going to you're just getting paranoid about bad spin. Just live as if already cancelled. Cancel yourself. It's fine. It remained. The honking segment. We haven't got time to record another one. Blood Pipettes 50. The honking one stays in. If that's the best one, and if that's integral to it, we honking, baby. We're staying.
We're honking.
Yeah.
And also, my stepdad was a white van man, and he shouted horrendous things out of the window of that van. So.
At you?
No, at women and brown people mainly.
Oh shit.
So it's.
Oh wow, that's why then. That's where it's coming from.
That's
you got that echo of the reality of it.
I've got the echo. Yeah, I'm the Manchurian candidate.
Oh, she got activated by honk.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what my mission is. Okay, so we'll keep it as is, you reckon?
Yeah. Despite concerns that, like, 5 minutes out of the gate, we've immediately been both sexist and classist.
I don't think we've actually been either of those. What I'm saying is, I don't actually think we haven't been either of those things. Right. I'm making a joke from my own background, and while I'm evoking the idea that harassment exists, I'm not endorsing it. I'm just...
No.
We condemn.
Harassment, bad. Thumbs down.
You know, our policy ought not to be that we're going to be like the cool left-wing kids of podcast world. I want our policy to be apologise immediately, every single time.
Yeah.
Apologise preemptively, or apologise immediately after doing anything you think was out of line.
If you write a spiked online article, mate, it's game over.
Right, that's it. I want us to be the contrition boys.
We honking.
We're honking.
Mate, we're honking.
All right, we honk on, and we honk long. All right, I'll let you get back to work anyway. Cheers. See you later.
It's all right, mate. Everything's gonna be fine.
Don't make a promise like that, but this particular issue might not haunt us. That's all I want. Okay, I'll see you later and have a good weekend.
Oh, bye. You have a great time.
Bye. Night. Good. Love you. Goodbye.
Night.
Kissing.
Bye.
Night. Honk.
Bye.
Okay, Sean, you're a socialist or one of these things, right? Something, one of them?
Or one of these things.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, one of the following.
Right, who takes out the bins then, mate? Where are the bins going in your fucking utopia?
When you say take out the bins, do you just mean who's bringing the bin to the end of the street?
To getting rid of the bins, who's the bin man? Who's the bin woman? Bin
Oh,
person?
so who's doing like
Who's the bin entity?
undesirable menial tasks? Who's cleaning the toilets?
The toilet is a kind of bin. I'm asking about the bins.
Machine.
Yeah, I've got you,
A
haven't I?
machine.
Oh, fuck off.
All right. That's not fair. I'm trying to pull a fast one.
What machine could do? I don't trust machines.
I
like
think-
a self-driving
all right.
big Roomba thing.
I
You
feel
trust
like-
them?
I feel like I'm being lured into a trap. But what if doing the bins was the new national service?
Oh. For 14-year-old boys.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Or we don't have prison anymore. But if
Bin
you do
job.
something, you're now you're the bins person. And I don't know to mean.
I'm not happy about it. You've still got like a big draconian justice system. Then if you're still going like, right, you're on the bins. You stole something.
Why are you saying
you're
we've
on
got a
the bins.
draconian? Hang on.
You're punishing people with the bin system. So there's obviously some sort of mega justice system here going
Why is
on.
it to be a
I don't
mega
know.
justice system? Why not the elders come? You've had this struggle session. And you get to nominate how long of bins you do, but in front of a council of your peers. The punishment's not given to you, you select your own, but everyone's watching.
Oh,
Sneaky.
yeah.
Right, how many
And it's
bins-
called the binning.
Yeah. How many bins do you think you should take out as a result of your
Me?
misdemeanor? No, this is what you do. This would be your sentencing. How many bins do you deserve? Because I feel like I was raised Catholic, so
Oh, okay.
all penance can be discovered through the repetition of a single task, which for me was doing the Hail Mary. But in this society, can be just taking the bins out,
And if-
which
You'd have to.
more than the Hail Mary provides a concrete, useful service to other people. But if you don't produce enough criminals, every community has to produce enough
Yeah,
criminals
exactly,
to
right.
deal with all their own
This
bins.
is where I'm saying the mega justice system comes from, because you've got the prison industrial complex, right? So one of the reasons that prisons necessary is they're used for labour, not necessary under capitalism, not like fundamentally or ethically necessary. But you're creating a bin industrial complex where we've got to find a bin boy. Everyone's been too good, so we're going to have to invent a new crime to find a bin boy.
Hang on. Why can't people just do their own... At the moment, people take their own bins to the end of the street.
Yep.
But why can't we just expand on that personal responsibility, that you don't just take it to the end of the street, you take it to its ultimate destination?
In your flat, who takes the bins out?
It's me,
Is there anyone else in there?
if I remind them. Sometimes if I've got a gig on a Sunday, which is our bin day, if I don't Facebook message the house group, bins don't go out.
And you're okay with that? Are they not leeching off you like little socialist parasites, drinking their champagne while you take out the bins?
I mean, sometimes I do resent that I've got to deal with the bins thing. But I think it's ultimately about finding a compromise of like, I don't mind doing the bins, but if you can take up another, each according to their ability, to each according to them.
Correct, the Gotha programme at me, lad. Yeah, fair dues, yeah.
But that, some people just don't have a head for certain tasks, and no one else seems to remember doing the bins, but will do if I ask them. You remember to do the bins? Oh yeah, of course, sorry, I forgot for like the 18th time. But I want the bins to go out. If the bins don't go out, we get backed up, so I just take them out.
It's socially necessary, isn't it? Socially
It's
necessary
socially
taking the
necessary to
bin
take the
out.
bins out.
Yeah, you can't take out bins. So you're coming at it from obligation or like initially punishment. Do you not think bin person should be rewarded more?
I take the bins out so that we can get rid of more rubbish into our bin.
You just want more bin space.
Well, no, I don't want build-up of rotting food where I live.
Okay.
It's very self-interested.
So just pure function.
But that's what bins are. I mean, what more do you want from a bin? It's not going to gratify me, is it? It's a bin.
But how's it going to get to the landfill? Where's that? What's going on there, mate?
Bins now, they go to different places depending on what type of bin it is, right?
Yeah.
What kind of bins you got here in Manchester?
We got tin and plastic one,
What colour?
brown,
Yeah.
blue paper one,
Oh, we got the same bins.
and then
And then
bin,
black general
apocalypse
waste.
bin. Yeah.
You're right. I don't have the means to take the entire wheelie bin down to a landfill and then take the blue bin down to a recycling plant and then the brown bin to a third recycling plant.
Checkmate.
I don't have the means to do that. Which means all I can think of is I put them in some other nearer area where more is picked up at once by a bin person. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
Yeah.
And what's their
Bin
one?
homunculus problem. Are we definitely saying no one would willingly want to be a bin person? I think
I think they would. I think they would. I
really
think
quickly.
no one
would or should probably be unless they really want to be, the bin person. That's all they do.
Yeah.
But there might be someone who does more bin stuff. Maybe it's on a rota.
Everyone does a bit of binning.
Yeah, it's got to be voluntary, but you're going to be socially obliged to do so. Like, there might be people who just do it anyway, and then there might be the people you have to remind, like, oh, do you want to take out the bins, Kev? But I think because it's such an important thing, surely that person should get, like, little perks, a little Kinder Bueno or something. Well, not them, because I actually
what kind of
rubbish. Anyway,
hang
before
on,
I ask
because
this
there was
question.
a kind of like 1920s ragged-trousered philanthropist
Yeah.
British socialism where they wanted to abolish formalised currency, but they were like single-use tokens that people said they could use to like. They had this idea that some people should be rewarded for certain social functions.
Labour tokens.
It was kind of, it was like this. You could only use this to go to the theatre. That was their like solution to it, and it seems it just feels like that doesn't quite.
That feels bad.
Yeah, once you've got transferable tokens, you are slippery sloping right back down into the crevasse.
Yeah, everything's getting commodified.
But then that's what I put to you. How do you solve that problem if you're giving people a reward? What kind of reward could it possibly be?
I don't think it would be a sanctioned reward. I just think naturally people would recognise.
Do you think they should just get the kind of social, like, you know how a doctor in our society gets an automatic social respect? You're saying you flip it so that is a doctor still receiving respect, or is a bin man put on parity?
Oh yeah, you quoted that thing from each according to his ability to each according to his needs.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like people go from the premise you said everyone can't be equal, can't have equality. It's like a gotcha thing.
Yeah.
But like Marx's principle is what we just said. It's not absolute equality, because what is even the criteria you would measure equality on? It's from each according to his ability to each according to his need. If I'm teaching a lesson, I'm not going to give everyone the exact same lesson and advice. There'll be a student that needs more help with their source skills, and I'll spend a bit more time with them, helping them get that. There'll be someone who's really good at source skills, and I'll give them something to read to like push them more.
Hang on though, because if we're making this, people do what they are able to do, and you employ them along those lines. All these very low, traditionally or currently low status roles are also low skill compared to being a doctor or a surgeon, for instance.
Yeah.
So is it not a punishment for people who have like learning difficulties that you make them do these? If you're saying
it still has to be voluntary. It still has to be voluntary. Is every
job voluntary under this?
Yeah, of course.
Every job is voluntary.
Yeah.
But then what if there's
That's why capitalism is bad, because it coerces you into labour to work.
But wouldn't a centralised organising...
Nah. All right, Joseph.
No, listen to me. I'm just saying, voluntary, but you're also advocating the idea that there would be incentives to go into certain markets where there is a labour shortage.
Not incentives. Not like incentives created by a state.
But you can't then say,
I think
we, the centralised bureau, have said that this is now an esteemed job, so everyone... Because the only reward you've said is like a certain kind of social praise.
Well, yeah, no, because all the value system, like no one's saying... No, like conspiratorial group has said we are going to value doctors or bankers.
Sure, but now you're saying, well, what if they did? And that's how you.
No. But like, I'm saying, if you took away, if you had a different economy, if you had a collective shared economy where the workers own the means of production and work is controlled democratically, voluntarily, then it wouldn't happen immediately, but eventually people's value systems would change and the culture would change. And that I would hope, I want to believe, I don't know, I can't know, that what is valued will change. People recognise people doing jobs that are a bit horrible, like taking the bins out, cleaning out sewer or whatever, and people will be respected and like praised for that. And then it will also be recognised as someone like a doctor. Yeah, okay, they've got this, they're doing a cool thing and they're like helping people stay alive or whatever. But their training came from society. They didn't get anything from, they worked hard and they might be talented or whatever. But the only reason they can have the knowledge they have is on the shoulders of not just the people in the society that exist at the minute, but that they're in, but like centuries of workers' labour and discovery and intellectual work and the society that taught them, that they owe something back to that society that gave them that knowledge to be a doctor. I'm not saying like people be like, oh, I don't want to be a doctor, that's shit. So the only labour that will be happening is labour that's either valuable functionally or people want to do.
But you're relying on that. You're relying on a very specific switch of values, which seems like it's so unpredictable. You're relying on a very specific confluence of social attitude adjustment in order for there to be a bin collection that works.
So what is your solution?
Well, I've come up with a much better one. All right, it's obviously daft that everyone takes all of their personal rubbish to the tip, which is why under our current system, someone or some people take a lot of rubbish from a large area to the tip at once.
Yeah.
So why couldn't, through social organisation, we just re-engineer the same thing where our street and the street next to it, we have a meeting, we go, listen, could one of us take some time out of the day to hire like a trailer and put all the bags on it? And, I don't know, we'll give you like a chicken, or we'll give you something from our allotment, or we'll recognise your deeds in some way that we can all agree on.
Yeah, that's the same as what I think. I was just talking about a different aspect of it. But it has to be collectively organised and still voluntary.
But I could see, if you get everyone on the table, look, we've all got this individual problem, which is all of us, we need to get our rubbish gone.
Yeah.
Is anyone able to do this, and we'll come up with like a suitable reward or recognition for your time? Because you're doing something that for us.
Yeah.
As
long as it's not labour tokens.
Well, what if it's just like
Nando's voucher?
I was just going to say numbers carved into stones. Well, what do I do with these? Whatever you like, Ted. They're yours. Have a... And thanks again. Mandatory Redistribution Party was created and produced by Sean Morley and Jack Evans. Our title theme was created by Ella Jean. Additional music created by Sean Morley and Jack Evans, with the exception of Antonin Dvorak's Piano Quintet No. 2, which was created by Antonin Dvorak. If you are able to help us out by liking, subscribing, writing positive reviews, or smashing that bell, that will trick a number of algorithms into giving us better visibility, and we would appreciate it very much, as our information economy is held in a stranglehold by machines. Thank you for listening, and on the insistence of Jack, I've included one of our aborted takes of recording an intro section for the show as a post-credits outtake.
Welcome to Mandatory Redistribution Party.
Hi, you friends. Welcome aboard this classic vessel.
Choo-choo!
Oh, I was imagining a boat, but that's fine. I'm not...
No, you can have a boat that's powered by a steam...
Yeah, I completely forgot. Well, does a steamboat go choo-choo?
Yeah, just like
it's more of a foghorn.
Yeah.
It's more of a sonorous tuba.
We can be a water train.
Or the wet train.
A wet train? Is that a... You're looking at me like I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, no, a wet train has happened. I mean,
what?
Trains have got wet because they go outside.
Yeah, no, I was imagining a train that went over the sea.
What, and you think the official name for this submersible train would be a wet train?
No, I'd call it
Aquatube.
Aquatube, but the tube is spelled CHOO.
Oh, yeah, Aquatube.
Aquachoo-choo.
Yeah. I think that's what you'd call a wet train if it was marketed as a confection for children.
Why not both? Why not have the real vehicle?
But also
and a delicious treat.
Give it the marketing you would to a petit filou.
I know the way you said wet train. You
could
probably hear it in the way he said it.
It had the airs of, have you not heard of this? Have you not heard of a wet train? You cretin.
You look like me, like a goon, like a silly sausage.
Yeah, like an absolute mook. Welcome to episode 1 of Mandatory Redistribution Party podcast, a comedy and radical left-wing politics podcast.
Both.
It's both of those things, but it's never both of those things at the same time, as we do not believe that's possible. Something can be interesting or funny.
Can't be both.
And it can only just move quickly between those two states. It's the same way that the atoms in our hands means that we can never truly touch something because there is a strong electromagnetic field on a...
There's atoms in my hand.
There's atoms in the centre of your
hand. Isn't that radioactive? I've got Chernobyl hand.
You would have to dig into your hand to get it out.
I'm going to get them out. A spoon?
A
spoon,
yeah, spoon is work, or a straw, or a pipette. A sharp pipette.
Pipette should be a weapon.
Knife pipette.
Do you think anyone's ever used a huge pipette, like a gun blade from Final Fantasy?
Oh, so I was thinking of like a bayonet attachment on an army rifle. but it's a pipette.
So you run over the trenches, and then you get shook, and then you can suck blood out.
For blood transfusions in the medical tents.
Yeah. So you run back to your team and then share the blood between your men. Here you go, lads, I'm back.
Jack's like miming squirting the blood out with a trigger as though you'd run back and squirt the blood onto...
No, I'm squeezing. So to clarify my mime that you can't hear, you would hold the gun. Okay, listener, you hold...
There's a lot of miming going on.
Do a mime to hold the gun, right? You follow along with me. So you're holding the gun. Whether you're right-handed or left-handed. So one of your hands is the trigger hand. Other hand is like the pipe, the death end of the rifle. It's holding the gun, really bullet pipe. Yeah. You hold that, and then I imagine the pipette control I'm holding the trigger with my right hand. Mm-hmm. I would move it just slightly forward, and then I'd be able to pipette.
Oh,
right. So that's...
I'm glad that people can't see this mime because it's like...
I mean, Sean's now interpreting the mime as like a gropey, but it's exactly...
It's like an upside-down udder.
I'm not milking the blood out because it wouldn't... It's going to come out of the...
Pipette is a form of milking.
Yes, in a way. I mean, when I've got the enemy and I've inserted my pipette into his vein, his juicy vein, then I'm going to pip the pipette, which is what I don't know. I'm going to grab it.
Yeah, I get you. Pip in the pipette.
So then I'm going to suck out his blood. Yeah. Sorry, mate. This isn't me. This is war. This is the war machine.
You've clarified the one part of the story I understood. It's what happens when you return with this pipette.
Yes. Well, that's next. So I run back across no man's land to my lads who are like, the war, etc.
Classic refrain.
Right. So then I jab my pipette into my little mate, little Tommy. You know, we both volunteered when we were 14. And then squeeze.
Volunteered. You're not a conscript.
It's year one of World War One when everyone's queuing up like, it'll be over by Christmas.
Yeah, we got to defend the
fatherland.
It's one of them. What a little bit of glory when we're back for Christmas.
Yeah. Into him.
Yeah.
Tragedy, wrong blood type.
I was going to say.
I've just murdered him. Yeah. But I don't know. I thought what I was doing was right. And that's all that matters.
You're 14.
Yeah.
You've just been at the SOM. You can't be expected to know about blood types.
Yeah. It's not just about actions, it's about intent.
Intent, actually, above actions.
Yeah, normally. That's what comedians argue.
What I was going for was this. And yes, you may have taken it that way. And yes, I may have said that. That's not what I meant. I meant some other thing that wasn't present in the show.
Ah.
That was too much for me to do in the take.
No, I think that might have been good. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think
this is people's first landing strip into the show, and I think we've really given them a very jagged trip.
We should put that on the end and go, here's the first take of our intro, where this is our first try introducing it.
Try number one.
Yeah, first experience of the show.